Welcome back. Why am I boring? People tell me this all the time. Several exes have told me that I am boring, and I too think that I am a bit boring. I don't like adventure in a traditional sense. Most of the time I spend here in this hotel room. I've been sitting here and working on these videos in this hotel room for the last 2 months. I go to the same cafe and order the same one or two things. I don't usually go out or socialize with people. People are very eager to tell me that I have a boring life. Some even go as far as telling me that I am maybe depressed. Just me sitting around. For some reason, people can't stand it. Maybe they're trying to provoke me by saying these things that I am boring, or maybe they're just jealous of my lifestyle. Anyway, I've realized now that trying to define myself by the reactions of others, what they are telling me, is a waste of time. But hear me out. There is some logic to why I am boring, like why I choose this kind of... To understand that, I probably need to tell you how I think. To me, there is this culture of struggle and exertion. For some reason, working hard and keeping oneself busy seems to be the norm. We've been told that we have to work hard. Our parents tell us that we have to work hard. Our teachers tell us that. They tell us to make something out of ourselves. And we go on doing the things that they have told us to create a lifestyle that they know how to live. And in doing so, we hardly ask ourselves why we are doing the things that we do. Every self-help guru out there tells us to live an extraordinary life, and they even tell us what that extraordinary life looks like, and we don't question these things. There is the culture of keeping yourself busy. It is worn as a badge of honor. Even the language that we use is of struggle and exertion. Overcome your fears. You have to fight with your fears and then overcome them. Conquer your anxiety. That in itself implies a lot of struggle. No pain, no gain, which means you have to suffer before pleasure. I just want to be sure that for me, I am doing the things that are meaningful to me. Because of that, I ask myself why I am doing the things that I do. The culture of exertion and struggle is a bit absurd to me. Call me lazy, or maybe I am lazy. Out of the social pressure, we want to appear as busy to make ourselves feel important. Sometimes we also use busyness as an excuse to avoid social interactions. There may be many reasons to do this. Most of the time, we make ourselves scarce so that when we do interact with others, we appear to be important. It may be because we deep down feel that we are insufficient, and so we have to pretend to be busy. To me, I personally think that you're only learning how to be busy and not doing anything meaningful. No progress have been made. You just learned how to be busy. Also, we try to achieve things, the good lifestyle, and when we feel that we can't win, we go to the other end. We say things like, I want to slow down, burnout. We give them different labels for different states, and then we get into things like self-love and self-care, which is, to me, is the more or less the same thing, but has taken a different form. To me, it's not slowing down or hustling. They're just rather the opposite sides of the same coin. To me, it is about questioning your motives, the whys behind your actions. Knowing that most of the things that have been told to us is tradition or the culture that we live in, the culture of the society. It is more important for me to see if I am operating on autopilot. And also the good life that's been sold to us, the marketed version of good life, it is designed in such a way to sell things. The good life looks something like this: work hard and make money, go on vacations, buy new gadgets, and in relationships, romance, drama, fights, jealousy, be popular, gain attention, market to yourself. Our idea of a good life is largely affected by the marketing around us. What's in the advertisements that we see, what a good life is, has been designed in such a way to sell us things. I know this is happening. It's not in a sort of like hippie-ish kind of way, but it is around us. We can see that. It's obvious. So I question everything that I do. It is more important to know that what remains when that is all eliminated. And once I know that I have a sense of what I actually want to do, the next thing for me is to figure out how to get there, create a mental map. Because I am boring and lazy, I'm always looking for easy ways to do things. To me, productivity is fine, but it's not about filling your time with things to do. It's more about identifying the things that are meaningful to you and then identifying the actions that are most likely to get you that result. I want to make sure that I am doing the most effective things to get to where I want to. For me personally, some of the things that I value are location independence, traveling around, have some sort of movement, and the freedom to wake up whenever I want, which is important. I don't want to have any dependency on anyone whatsoever. To be in such a position, I need money. But the question now is how to make it. What are the most effective ways to do it? Do I go outside and be in some kind of construction job, spend hours outside breathing cement, or do I learn coding and get a job that way as a programmer, which pays me better anyway? There are always better and easier ways to achieve the same results. My motto generally is minimal effort and maximum impact. Should I spend an hour cooking, or should I order a takeaway? Should I stay in a hotel where everything is done for me, cleaning and everything, or should I rent a place? Should I work as an employee dealing with my boss, or should I start my own business? Should I take a pay cut to work remotely and to travel the world, or stay in an office? I don't for a moment believe that you need to work hard to make the best of your lives. I use one thing very obsessively, which is the 80-20 rule, or the Pareto's law. It basically says that 80% of your happiness comes from the 20% of the things that you do or you don't do. I set a goal, something that I value, and then I list all the things that I can do that are most likely to get me there, and only do the 20% of those things from that list. Take action on that. I apply this not only to work, but to my life in general and for my general happiness and in my relationships. Tim Ferriss actually talks about the 80-20 rule a lot. It is from his book 4-Hour Workweek that I picked up this principle. This is one thing that I found very useful, and then I vigorously apply as well. My life looks very, very different than it was 80 years ago. So how does my life actually look like today? The boring life. The first thing that I did was I cut loose 20% of those friends who were giving me the 80% of my headaches. Cut loose the 20% of those friends who I was wasting time with just for entertainment, but with no apparent bond. I got rid of 80% of my belongings and kept only those 20% that provided my 80% of lifestyle that I was living. I chose the travel lifestyle because I could provide for the 80% of the quality of life that I was having by spending 20% of my income. In my boring life, I don't have any commitments. I don't have any bills to pay. I stay in hotels and Airbnbs. Back in London, I have a mailbox. The other things I pay for are Netflix and some business related stuff. That's it. I don't have any commitments in terms of relationships either. In that way, I am a very extreme minimalist. I don't commit to the things I don't want. Some say that I have commitment issues, but I don't think that I have commitment issues. I just don't want to commit to what you want me to commit to. I'm glad to commit to the things that I want to do. For example, this YouTube channel. It doesn't give me any money, but I enjoy doing it. And to be honest, not having unnecessary commitments make one extremely productive. You're not going out to waste your time helping others, eliminating all kinds of dependencies. Normally, I don't go out because whenever I go out, I waste my money and time for what? And most of these conversations and relationships are very superficial anyway. So I choose not to do that. We do go out and enjoy these things to give ourselves a sense of progress and a sense of good life, entertainment. But at the end of it, what have you achieved really? You go out and you come back and then you're alone again and you're sad. I have noticed that most of our actions are fight or flight, reward and punishment. You act based on your fears, you move away from your fears or move towards your pleasures. So I have also learned to utterly ignore my autopilot that takes place usually based on fight or flight, which also eliminates all the wastage of energy and makes me gives me enough time to do other things, whatever that is. This is one key component in productivity as well, if you want to get stuff done, because when you're doing something, as soon as you hit the certain level of discomfort, our normal reaction is to fight and flee, really. So this is very important when it comes to productivity. And in relationships, I don't usually make friends. I don't waste time unnecessarily with anyone. To be honest, relationships to me are mentally draining. People normally want to hear about the things that they want to hear about. You have to take care of everyone's feelings. Always be gauging, at least personally, I will be always be gauging what to say or how to stay honest, and at the same time not overly hurt anyone's feelings. And that kind of mental process while having conversation with anyone, it's actually very draining. If you can't be honest with someone, all you do is end up talking about random things, forming a superficial bond and not really knowing the person anyway. That's a wastage of time and energy. I want some kind of reciprocation in these relationships. I don't want to be the only one who is listening always. People always want to talk about themselves in the same way that I want to talk about myself. So there needs to be some kind of reciprocation in relationships to me. Not out of obligation, but because both are curious. I'm not only talking about romantic relationships. I only make friends or consider someone as a romantic partner only if she is as much interested in me as I am in them. When it comes to romance, I don't like this traditional way of romance, the fantasies, which is kind of repulsive to me. I don't want to play into my own fantasies, let alone play into yours. I don't want to take care of you. I don't want to be a provider. I don't want to commit to you, and certainly not depend on you. There is somehow this notion that romance is good, and the complications, the drama, the fights, those are the norms in relationships. That's what makes a good relationship. The jealousy, the lying, they are not good relationships, but that's what ultimately end up happening. And also there is this mystification of women to men and also men to women, mostly women to men, to keep us in the fog of not knowing, which kind of actively blocks us from forming any kind of relationships. So I normally just avoid them. I want to avoid because I don't want to get hurt in a kind of way. There is a bit of that, but I just don't want to add one more problem into my life. If I were to have a relationship with you, I want that to be honest. None of that, kindness over honesty bullshit, which is just another way of justifying lying. As much as I want to be in a relationship, the work that I have to do outweighs any kind of benefit, so it is not worth the effort for me. In the rare occasion that I meet someone and we hit it off, they're fine with me in the beginning and then they try to drag me into their drama, but I don't want to do that. So naturally I become boring in a sense, unexciting. It's not to say that I don't like talking to people. I do, but I do rather do it in a very selfish kind of way, because I use them as mirrors, because I want to know my own reactions to what they are saying, what kind of things hurt me. I'm interested in finding those things. I think it is rather fun to observe my thoughts and reactions when I am talking to someone. So that's my boring life. I don't go after relationships that way, and I don't actually go after life's purpose either. I don't want to have an impact. I don't want to change the world. I don't want to definitely help anyone. To me, that is an obscene act, because first of all, how do you know? You're only helping from your mental framework of what you perceive as help to them, which is really trying to make them behave in a way that you want them to behave. Or it could be monetary help. Those kind of things only gives you a sense of moral superiority and puts you in a framework where you are good and you are able to persecute others for them not doing the things that you want them to do, which you have claimed as a moral high ground. Helping others in that way is only a way to cultivating one's own self-importance, or being kind or compassionate, whatever you want to call it. From a person who goes after achievement and materialistic things, money, to a person who goes after spiritual enlightenment, kindness or compassion, being more kind, or finding fulfillment, these are all just words. But the action in both situations is rather the same thing. They look different because the form is different, but it's actually the same movement. You seek spiritual enlightenment because you feel insufficient. It's the same with materialistic things. So I have a sense of all these things happening in my head, and the tradition and what I've been taught, and my actions that are fight or flight, wasting time with others, being caught up in romance. When I stop doing any of that, I am left with my basic needs: home, shelter, food and water, and, well, sex, but because it requires one more other person, it's out of the question for now. Whenever we deem ourselves to be boring, we need to actually understand what boredom is. Boredom only exists when we seek out for interesting life or doing interesting things. It is the pursuit of interesting things constantly that gives you the sense of boredom. So this is what I have to say about me being boring. Getting out of fight or flight and doing only the things that matter to me and doing only the most effective things, not filling up my time with 100 different tasks in a day. First of all, I can do 100 different things. It just ends up me doing nothing. And most importantly, because I'm living a very different lifestyle than others, they're eager to call me boring because they are jealous, or as I said, they can't stand watching me sitting around doing nothing. What I'm doing doesn't compute in their head, so they call me lazy. Have commitment issues, get married. That's what you should do. It's not that it's only something that is coming from the society towards me. I have the same thing going on in my head. So this extraordinary life seeking is what creates the sense of boredom to me and the condemnation towards it. Same with any kind of emotion, boredom, fear, anger. The first thing that we need to stop doing is to condemn it. Anyway, that's my rant, and that's the reason that I am boring. And I think that you should be too, to live effectively. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.